call 364-1007 and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
681 offices in Baton. Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Monday. Your work week is off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locked and loaded until 3 o'clock. Leah Vann from The Advocate going to join us coming up here at 1:30. Leah was up in Oxford as the Tigers took care of business this weekend, meeting with Jay Johnson today. Hopefully some injury updates on a lot of guys that are banged up. So we'll chat with Leah in 30 minutes. LSU spring game talk in the second hour. We'll crank that up with Billy Embody at 2 o'clock, and I'll give some of my thoughts at 2:15. We got a week of SEC baseball to react to as well. But we'll start with the Tigers, who went up to Oxford and got a sweep. And yes, I did come right on this here station and predict Ole Miss would beat LSU 2 out of 3 and said I would love to eat a little bit of crow on Monday. And I will happily do that with a huge smile on my face today. I promise I was not trying to create content or swim upstream or be controversial, or that was not the point. I think I laid out my feelings entering the weekend pretty succinctly on Friday. I said, look, LSU's not pitching it great. Floyd's been hit around in SEC play. Little's basically an opener on Sundays. The bullpen's faltered a little bit at times. Kentucky knocked it all around the yard on LSU. You're leaning on the offense, and the offense is banged up. Dugas is hurt. Kling is hurt. Neal is hurt. Like, I thought this may be a tough spot in a crazy weekend in Oxford, a desperate Ole Miss team. I just didn't have a great feeling about it. And I was dead wrong because Ole Miss stinks. And LSU went up there and took 2 out of 3. So I will take the crow. I'll take it all. I'll take seconds if you're serving that up, because LSU was plenty good enough this weekend to get a sweep. And I want to start talking about something that was not on the field. But it was a quote post-game that struck me. And it was a quote from Hayden Travinski. The quote he gave Leah Vann was, "It's not about me at the end of the day. It's about this team. It's about us holding a trophy. That's the stuff that matters. I'm not going to be talking about I didn't get in it bad in this inning. Like, that doesn't matter." This is a guy in his 4th year of college baseball who gets to hit about once a week. He could be hitting 4th in the Sun Belt somewhere, but he's not. And Jay Johnson spent all of January at the Rotary Club and at the First Pitch Banquet and at Media Day and on radio shows, and every chance he could, he talked about trying to cultivate a dynamic within this team that would lead to a championship. And you've got a ton of stars on this team. Potential first-round picks, big leaders, All-Americans, all-conference players. It's littered throughout this entire lineup. But he would tell the story of DJ LeMahieu moving from short to second in the middle of a championship year. He would tell the story of Matuk and Nola, big leaguers who had to wait their turn as freshmen halfway through the year. He would tell the story of Leon Landry being moved out of the starting outfield, but being the guy that was flying the highest going to the dog pile in the national championship. He would tell the story of Kurt Ainsworth redshirting. And he did this all over the place. I heard these stories like 3 or 4 times. And now you're starting to see these guys echo that months down the line. I still remember, before the first weekend, Michael Cauble on Channel 2 did a story on Cade Beloso. Cade said, look, need me to play first base? I'll play first base. Need me to pinch hit in the 8th inning? Need me to pinch hit. Need me to sit on the bench and cheer the guys on? I'll do that too. That is rare. This is an era of transfer portal. People jump all over the place. The first sign of things aren't great for them. And this team is loaded with guys who just want to win a championship. And that matters because as good as this has looked start to finish, LSU has not lost a weekend all year. They've had some adversity. They've had injuries. Your number one reliever goes down, Garrett Edwards. Your number two reliever, Chase Shores, goes down. Your emotional team leader, Gavin Dugas, writhing in pain in right field against Kentucky. Never even got Grant Taylor out on the mound. Paxton Kling pops a hammy. Brady Neal's not out there. Tommy White slides back into first base, blows a shoulder. Things have happened, and they just keep rolling. And you're building up in your memory bank that South Carolina Dugas Grand Slam that ties the game, and you come back and win it against one of the best teams in the country on the road. Down to your last strike in Oxford. Bench guys out there. Get it done. You build that memory bank up, and when something comes down the road where you're in a challenging time, these guys aren't going to quit. It's remarkable how these guys have meshed together. Travinsky said in another quote from yesterday that this is the most fun he's ever had playing baseball. He doesn't even play. That's amazing to me. This team is really, really good, but I love the mental makeup that Jay has cultivated. He's been working at this since the fall. Because keep in mind, like, by the mid-'90s, Skip had coached a powerhouse and the most talented team in the country 5, 6, 7 times. Jay's never had that. He had 2 Omaha teams in Arizona. Last year's team played well in SEC play. He's never had something look like this, where you've probably got the number 1 draft pick on your team, and you don't know which one it is. It could be Skeens, could be Cruz. National Freshman of the Year, you got Cruz and White. He's never had this type of talent to manage, and he's done it brilliantly. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what we did see on the field. I think the first place I would go, other than the walk-off, the 3-run homer that Travinsky hit yesterday, was Ty Floyd's start. Saturday, Ty Floyd worked into the 9th inning. He threw 8 1/3, and as I was at the Zurich on Saturday, so I was watching on my phone a little bit and then came home and watched the highlights on YouTube. So I can't claim to have seen every pitch that Floyd threw, but I saw a lot. And what Ole Miss did was play right into Ty Floyd's hands. They could not lay off the elevated fastball above the belt near the letters. And that's where Ty Floyd's most effective. He's got that riding, spinning fastball, and it stays on plane. And it's just hard to get to up in the zone. You've got to make Ty Floyd get the ball down, and Ole Miss didn't do it. And then Floyd, to his credit, continued to work there, but also just threw strikes. Ty Floyd has had poor control in SEC play. And he threw strikes on Saturday and was able to work deep in games. And I don't know that exactly what he did on Saturday is replicable time in and time out, because you need the team to chase pitches a little bit up out of the zone. But he certainly was effective against Ole Miss. And you're at a point in the schedule now where you can start to build a little bit of confidence. Arkansas is in the rearview mirror. South Carolina is in the rearview mirror. Tennessee's in the rearview mirror. You got outings coming up for all these pitchers, but Floyd included, against lesser lineups. And you ought to be able to build some momentum and build some confidence. And that started with Ole Miss, and I thought Floyd did a very good job. But then Christian Little got to start on Sunday and stretched out as far as he stretched this season. He goes 87 pitches, gets you into the 6th inning, and that's really all you can expect at this point from LSU's third starter. It's been musical chairs at the back end of that rotation. Right now it's Christian Little, and if you can get 5 good innings out of him, you ought to be in pretty good shape. Those 5 innings should allow your lineup to hit the back end of whoever staff is out there on Sunday. And LSU on Sunday had 13 hits and scored 7 runs. Now, the reason you were down is because you gave up the 2-run homer to Utermark. And that was where I had a little bit of a difference of opinion in how Jay handled his pitching staff. I thought he went with Javen Coleman a little bit too long. And at that point, you're in a really tight game late, tied game at that point, and you have not used Bryce Collins. I'm not willing to lose a game without firing my best bullpen option. And right now, I think Collins is the best bullpen option. You could argue Herring. I wouldn't disagree. But I think Collins is the best. And you wouldn't have used him. And you gave up a home run with a kid coming back from injury. That I would have changed a little bit. I would have tweaked a little bit. But Coleman did get you through 2 innings. He threw 29 pitches. He's moving in the right direction. So let's close this segment. We'll come back with a little bit more, but we'll close this segment with the home run. We'll just talk about Skeens. The home run that Furness hit off Skeens. That was a situation where I'm watching the game, and my mind moves too quick during baseball games anyway. It's just it's a circus up there. But I'm watching Will Furness, and in his first at bat off Paul Skeens, Skeens threw nothing but fastballs, 3 of them, and Furness had no chance. I mean, totally and completely overmatched. And then he comes back in his second at bat, and Skeens starts him out with 3 fastballs, and he is hopelessly late on these fastballs. So as I'm sitting there watching, I'm going, man, Skeens is almost a victim of his own talent in this instance because he's beating Furness with the fastball so badly that you can't even justify throwing a breaking ball at this point because you're going to speed up his bat. If you can't get to the fastball, you've got to stick with fastballs. But Furness, who's been sitting there and has seen 7 pitches to this point, all fastballs, none of which he was anywhere near, knows, man, I can't get to this fastball. Like, he knows he's going to throw fastball at that point because Furness is so late. And he did. He threw a fastball right down Main Street, and Furness knocked it out of the yard. You couldn't live with yourself if you're Skeens and you've thrown 7 heaters. He can't get to it at all. And then you throw a slider and he gets the bat head out and hits it. Like, you'd be like, why would I do that? But the hitter knows that too. And he stuck with the fastball, and Furness knocked it out of the yard. And Skeens, in this outing, I thought it was his weakest outing of the year. It was still good. But when you're the best pitcher in the country, you get graded on an impossible curve. So, any Friday night guy that goes out on the road against Ole Miss, goes 6 innings, 11 strikeouts, and gives up 3 runs, you're like, that's a fine outing. But Skeens did not have command of a breaking ball on Friday. Could not throw it. I think he threw 2 good sliders the entire game. But he's good enough to just lean on the fastball and keep pounding away and strike out 11. Go back and look at the highlights. Look how many strikeouts were fastballs. Ole Miss just couldn't catch up to him. So hopefully this week, put in a little work in the bullpen, come out on Friday night against Alabama. He needs to spin the breaking ball a little bit better. But he was good enough with just a fastball. Ole Miss didn't score again after the homer. So nice start for Skeens. Still a lot more that I want to get to, but we'll break for time here. And come back and talk a little bit more about LSU and Ole Miss up in Oxford. Leah Van going to join us in 15 minutes to continue the baseball talk next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With SEC baseball, I think more so than basketball and certainly football, oftentimes you watch your team play and not as much the rest of the games that are going on given weekend. Like, just take yourself, for example, whoever you are that's listening. Like, are you going to stop and turn on the Tennessee-Florida baseball game? Like, is that something you're going to do on a Saturday afternoon or night? Like, some do. I do sometimes, but not. It's not nearly as often as I'm going to watch Tennessee and Florida play football. Like, I'm going to watch that game. So when someone is doing something for another school, oftentimes you may not notice it or hear about it. And then they show up and you see them for yourself and you go, oh. And I feel like that's what happened with Dylan Cruz over the weekend. Chase Parham does a great job covering Ole Miss for Rivals. Had him on the show. He's gone on Match Show multiple times. He does an awesome job, and he's a big baseball guy. Loves baseball. And he saw Dylan Cruz this weekend, and I think it's safe to say it made a little impression on him. On Saturday, after Cruz hit the grand slam, his second home run in 2 innings, Chase said, Dylan Cruz now has a grand slam, so 6 RBIs and 2 home runs in 2 innings. My stars. He's the best hitter in the country, and he's patient and is willing to walk. He's the 1-1 pick, and it's not a debate. Rebs baseball down 6-0 and has gotten just 5 outs. I retweeted it, but he saw him for a game and 2 innings and went, okay, that's enough. And what he alluded to in the middle there is something that I tweeted about on Friday. On Friday, after Will Furniss hits the home run to give Ole Miss a lead, that place is amped up, it's supercharged, and Dylan Cruz comes up in that environment with 2 guys on base. And he's the guy. He's the best player. And that would be so easy as the guy who's hitting 500 and leading the country in on-base percentage to force the issue in that spot. 2 men on, your team's down 1, just gave up a 3-run homer, kind of shell-shocked, freshman knocks it out of the yard. You would maybe get up there and force the issue, maybe extend the strike zone, maybe get out in front. No, he doesn't do any of that. It's the same at bat he always gives you. He drew a walk on a couple of close pitches, and then White hit a grand slam. That duo is a nightmare, but Cruz is so special to watch hit. And that at bat, to me, embodied just how special he is, because he never forces it. And he's just good enough that he'll wait for the pitcher to make a mistake, and then he'll make it happen. And that's why, I mean, if you heard Charlie's show earlier today, if you heard Skip yesterday, say he's the best ever. And I'm wrong plenty. I predicted that Ole Miss would beat LSU 2 out of 3 days ago. I'm wrong a lot, and it's all in the air right here. It's all recorded. You can find it all. But after his freshman year, I said he might be the best player that's ever played here. And fast forward 2 years, he is. What he's doing is comical. His on-base percentage is .643. It's almost May. .643 would be good after 1 weekend. He played 39 games. He gets on base 65% of the time. It's just unbelievable to watch this guy hit. And the guys around him are pretty good too. And the depth on this team is being tested because Neal's out, because Kling's out, because Dugas is banged up. But they just keep on coming. And this weekend was massive for this team in terms of the numbers. Now you look up, and LSU finds itself in conference play at 12-5. And what that means is I can conservatively estimate if LSU finishes at 19-10, obviously they lost the game at South Carolina. If they finish 19-10, I think you're a top 8. And again, I don't care if you're the 1 seed or the 8 seed. There are probably some of you listening say, I don't want to be the 1 seed. The 1 seed never wins. I don't really care about that. If you're the 1 seed, you're the 1 seed. Go win baseball games. But I don't care if you're the 1 or the 8. I just want you to be one of those. And so LSU, to get there at this point, I think only needs to go 7-5 the rest of the way against Alabama, Auburn, Mississippi State, and Georgia. That's pretty doable. That is pretty doable. So you've put yourself in a position now with this sweep, with winning every weekend, that you can play just over 500 ball. And the good news is for LSU, like last year when Jacob Berry gets hurt, last year when Cade Doty gets hurt at Vanderbilt, those 2 guys late in the season, you were playing games that likely were gonna dictate whether or not you hosted or didn't. And Berry didn't play against Ole Miss, and they got swept. And if you win one of those games, against Ole Miss, you're probably a regional host. I think that's how close it was. LSU's not in that position now. They've got some leeway. They've got some wiggle room. If Tommy White needs to sit for a week, he can. If Brady Neal needs more time, he can take it. If Paxton Kling wants to wait another 2 weeks, he's got it. They don't have to. These games, one by one, are not as impactful as they were last year at this time. You can't go lose them all, but like I said, all you need is 7-5 the rest of the way, and you're going to be a top 8. The RPI is strong. The conference record's strong. Strength of schedule is better than we thought it was going to be. So they are hurt, and they're trying to nurse some guys back. Coleman seems to be in the rhythm now. You got Ackenhausen to pitch a little bit. Kling has started to run. So you're getting there, but you have some time to play with it, and that's why getting that win yesterday was so vital. Because every time you get one of those, you change the math. If you lose that game yesterday, you fall to 11-6, and then 7-5 only gets you to 18, and that might not be enough. 18-11, maybe not. So that they're all so important, and LSU swung the math in their favor in a big way, going on the road and getting a sweep of Ole Miss. That was massive, massive stuff. The last thing I wanted to talk about, and then we'll move to Leah Van, who met with Jay Johnson a little bit earlier. We'll see if we get some injury updates. I know that Jay updated the status of Tommy White, and it doesn't sound very serious. So we'll get Leah's thoughts on all of that. But maybe Griffin Herring becoming the top guy to the bullpen. Not something we thought we would have said 3 weeks ago. But after that outing against Tennessee, and then you lose Edwards and Shores in 2 weeks, he's kind of the guy. And for him to go 3 hitless innings on Friday against that Ole Miss lineup is impressive. There's no doubt. And the more you get into those big-time situations, the more comfortable you'll be. I thought that Herring's appearance against Tennessee and going back out in the ninth in front of that crowd on that Friday night was just massive. And this was on the road. And after a little bit of a rocky outing last week against Kentucky, he comes back and really was good. So that's really good news for LSU to get that development from a freshman. They've got to have some guys step up that weren't doing that in February and March because of the injuries and the turnover on the staff. Herring might be that guy, and he was certainly the first guy they went to on Friday night to get it done, and he did with 3 shutout hitless innings of relief pitching. So Tigers win all 3. They're in very, very good shape at this point. And it was a weekend where lots was happening. Arkansas gets swept by Georgia. Vanderbilt gets swept by Tennessee. Florida gets swept by South Carolina. Teams at the top of the standings were getting pummeled, and LSU took care of their business as they have done all year long. So we expect that to continue. Alabama coming in this weekend. We'll certainly talk about that as the week progresses. All right, Leah Van was up in Oxford. Got a little cancellation on the concert last night, but she's back now. Met with Jay Johnson a little bit earlier. We'll chat with Leah Van from The Advocate. Coming up next on The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is On Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TD to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Me, Jimmy Ott and Charles Hanniger for the Monday edition of Game Time. We're live at Finbom on Burbank and Lee, right next to Rouse's. Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday from Finbom on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It was a tough Sunday in Oxford, Mississippi for the Rebel faithful. Hayden Travinski's 3-run homer sunk the Rebs in a sweep, and then Morgan Wallen canceled his concert. Lee Vann was supposed to go to that concert last night. She joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. What was more disappointing to the people of Oxford, the Travinski home run or Morgan Wallen at 9 o'clock saying, by the way, I'm not coming out?
I think it's probably got to be the Morgan Wallen thing. Judging by the reactions, I don't think I've ever seen so many country people angry in one setting. And it's an experience for sure.
So set the scene here. I know that the opening acts played, and then it was like 9 o'clock when he was supposed to come out, and they just put something up on the video board?
Actually, the guy came over the loudspeaker and was like, "Attention! Morgan Wallen has lost his voice. My concert is canceled. Thank you for coming." And then they put the message. And I think we were all like shocked at first. And I'm thinking, well, my car is right around the corner. I am cold. I've been sitting here for an hour after Hardy just finished his set. And I was like, I'm just going to go to my car and seek warmth and then get out of here as fast as I can. And so I'm climbing down the steps, and I think everybody else is just sitting there like, is this for real? It was definitely, it was disappointing, but, you know, I was just there on a work trip and happened to be in town and bought a ticket, you know, like, for me, it's like, okay, I get a refund, you know, I missed out. You know, I don't get a lot of nights where I get to do fun stuff during baseball season, you know, outside of baseball, so I'm kind of bummed, but I was more bummed for the people who, like, drove a tremendous number of hours and bought $500 hotel rooms for the show.
Yeah, that's tough. You don't get a refund for those things. I was taken by Hayden Travinski's post-game quote talking about, it's not about me and how often I play. We're just having a lot of fun. And Jay, in kind of the speaking circuit he did in January, talked about instilling some selflessness into this team and told the stories of the players from the past that kind of adopted their roles. And it seems like it's really taken. I mean, is that something that you pick up from talking to these guys a couple times a week?
Yeah, especially guys like Cade Beloso, Hayden Travinski, Gavin Dugas. And I think, like, they've all especially keyed in on the fact that they're just having a ton of fun. And Jay said today in the press conference, you know, Hayden Travinski's a guy who could have entered the transfer portal but didn't, right? And, he came back and he decided, I'm just going to play. I'm just going to have fun. And Hayden's kind of like, I'm just having fun with my guys. And I think that's a really special thing is I think we all forget that, like, sports are actually for fun and, like, it's not that deep, And so I think that it's not only very cool to see somebody have his moment after kind of waiting his turn and cheering on his other teammates and being a glue guy, but it's also, there's something to be said about the simplicity of, wait, this is all for fun. I think that's what really stood out to me about Hayden. And I'm like, I get kind of like teary-eyed, like talking to him because he's just like, so like, he's a very, chill, relaxed, like thankful for his opportunity kind of guy.
We got an opportunity yesterday and certainly made the most of it. What percentage of Jay's press conferences are injury related at this point?
It's actually very low because he says very little about them. And, I certainly understand from a standpoint of, like, you want to protect your guys. There's also, like, medical, like, information that, you want to, like, some of it you can give out and some of it you can't. Then you've got scouts watching, which certainly the scouts all know, right? There's also the element of competitive advantage, which is something I learned last year, when Milazzo was out for season and he was constantly telling us that, like, maybe he'll come back, right? Because he didn't want other teams to know that he was down a catcher, especially at the situation at Alabama where, Drew Bianco came in as an emergency catcher because Hayden Travinski was also unavailable. And so, yeah, if you want to circle to, today's press conference, update on Paxton Kling, I'll start with him since it's kind of the most positive, is he took batting practice. So obviously I saw that this weekend, and he's progressing at a faster rate than Jay Johnson anticipated. So that's good. He doesn't think he'll play tomorrow night, but, he could be back soon. Brady Neal has been working out, but there's really no word on when he'll return. I'm just going to say that Chase Shores, I would not expect him back this season. Jay has been tight-lipped about it, but that's what I know. I asked him about Garrett Edwards throwing a football with his throwing arm, and he said, maybe he has a chance at backup quarterback for the football team. And I asked, okay, is he going to be available anytime soon? He said, not within the next 2 weeks. Take that as you will. Gosh, who else am I missing? Tommy White.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the big one, right? I saw him limping around yesterday when he was kind of limping over to, like, meet the fans and sign baseballs. But I didn't want to speculate because, like, what if I say he's limping and it's an arm injury, right? And then I look really dumb. So, we got him to clarify it is a leg injury. Seems like it's just soreness. It was very cold yesterday. That can tighten up your hamstring, right? So that's a day-to-day thing, he said. He said it's not going to be anything that's serious or long-term. Sometimes baseball players just get beat up. And that's kind of that's a summary of everything I know, I think.
It's a lot. Have you talked to the players about just, like, the fact that guys have been all over the place, in and out, and the injuries kind of piling up? I mean, it hadn't slowed them down. They keep winning every weekend.
Right, and I think we all know the depth of this team, and I think it's also like the next man up mentality. It's a little cliche, but it is something, again, you talk about the unselfishness, right? And, guys like to pick each other up when they're down. And, when Garrett Edwards got hurt, Griffin Herring comes in and he's like, it takes pride in, like, picking my guy up, and I think that they all do things in honor of each other or, like, to kind of lift each other up and be like, hey, man, I got you. Like, and then that guy will then cheer on the other guy. And so I think that's a really endearing quality of this team. And, yeah, they're competitive. Yeah, they're confident. Yeah, they're like, they're the most talented team in the nation on paper. But what's cool is they're really easy to cheer for when you get to know the kind of people they are.
It was pretty obvious that Garrett Edwards was the most trusted bullpen pitcher on this team. Do you think Griffin Herring has taken that role?
I absolutely think so. And I think that, in due time, we'll see that Bryce Collins might also, come into his own. And then I think, if they get Thatcher Hurd to throw some strikes, he could also play a tremendous role. And, I'm trying to think. But, yeah, Griffin Herring, I would say right now. And then if you get Javen Coleman up and going, I mean, it's also pretty great to see some lefties. But, yeah, Griffin Herring has probably been the strongest pitcher by far. And, as far as bullpen goes, obviously. And Jay has basically said it's just composure on the mound. And same with Gavin Guidry. He's been putting him in that closing role. Again, it's that confidence. It's these true freshmen coming into these big situations. They continue to do really well.
I'm not sure if you had a chance to talk to Ty Floyd after Saturday's game, but he obviously had his strongest SEC outing to date. What was the difference for him on Saturday?
He said that he was throwing breaking balls kind of early in the counts and then finishing off with his fastballs. And so, I think those kill pitches, they were just being executed. He was throwing a lot of strikes, and I think we saw him struggling with command a few weekends ago at South Carolina. And he was just on it. He was like, I was in the strike zone, and that's really all there is to it. And he's very confident in what he can do too. And I think that really lifted him up. I think he really needed an outing like that.
Chatting with Leah Vann, LSU beat writer for The Advocate. All right, you've seen a baseball weekend in Starkville. You've seen a baseball weekend in Oxford. How would you compare the two?
Oh, man. Well, it's funny because I've seen both in years that they're not very good.
Right.
But I got to say, Starkville, nothing beats that ballpark.
Yeah.
And I really like Swayze. They have some cool traditions. It's beautiful. But I think, just the sheer magnitude of Duty Noble and just the feel of it. It's something special. I think everybody should put it on their bucket list of college baseball parks.
Yeah, I'm all in for the baseball weekends at both of those places. They still do the choreographed dance with the players, the Love Is Gone dance in Oxford?
Yes.
Or do you approve of that, or you think it's hokey? I love it.
It's interesting, I will say I like the beer throwing is actually really cool to see. But yeah, they've got some weird guy pops up on the video board for a specific song that dances. It's a little creepy. But I really like the town of Oxford. I thought it was one of my favorite SEC towns to visit. It was really fun. And I will say the town of Oxford is better than the town of Starkville, but Starkville has the better ballpark.
I would agree with you on all counts there. Leah, thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, you too.
She is Leah Vann, LSU beat writer for The Advocate. I've said this a bunch of times, but Starkville, for a football weekend, it just doesn't work. It's too small. It's just too crowded. There's just too much. For a baseball weekend, when you're talking about 11,000 as opposed to 65,000, 70,000, it's just better. I love Starkville for a baseball weekend, and I love Oxford as well for a baseball weekend, and glad the Tigers finally went up there and took care of business, got a sweep of the Ole Miss Rebels. So kind of recap what Leah's talking about there as far as injuries go. It doesn't sound like Garrett Edwards, even though he was throwing a football in the outfield on Sunday, which I thought looked pretty positive. Don't expect him. I would not expect Chase Shores back. And then you look at some of the guys who are dinged up. Tommy White, it doesn't sound super significant. Brady Neal needs a little bit more time. Paxton Kling is close to returning, taking some batting practice. So they just got to get healthy. And if you look at where we are in the calendar and you look at where LSU is in the standings, as I said in the last segment, they've got some time if some guys need a little bit more time off. LSU's in a really strong position in the standings, and they can overcome a tough weekend here or there if that happens, if you just got to get some guys healthy. So the machine keeps rolling along, but they've got to get some guys back here at a certain point. But Milazzo and Travinsky are playing well in Neal's absence, so you're not missing a ton there. And Brady was struggling offensively for sure when he did get dinged up. So we'll see. It's good to see Nate Ackenhausen get back out there over the weekend as well. So thanks to Leah for jumping on and giving us those updates. We'll come back and close out hour number 1. We'll have some football talk in hour number 2. That's all next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. In April, we're telling you about Dr. Robert Jackson. Dr. Jackson founded the MLK Health Center and Pharmacy in Shreveport. It is Northwest Louisiana's oldest free clinic and pharmacy. In a year, they provide over $16 million in services to over 1,700 patients. And the clinic operates at no expense to the patient and returns an average of $25 to the community for every $1 invested in the center. Dr. Robert Jackson loves his home up in North Louisiana, and that's why he is a champion of Louisiana. If you know someone like Dr. Jackson or a nonprofit or a business that is doing great philanthropic work in Louisiana, whether it's North Louisiana, South Louisiana, wherever, we want to know about it. We want to tell their story. So go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate a champion of Louisiana. April is Dr. Robert Jackson is April's champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
On Tuesdays, OTB. It's time for the NFL draft, and we'll bring you the latest. Our guy Nick Underhill stops by to talk New Orleans Saints. Latest from the NBA playoffs, a brand new OTB mailbag. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So back on Wednesday, I gave you some gambling picks for the Zurich Classic. Wanted to revisit those, see how that worked out. I gave you Sahith Theegala and Justin Suh. They were right in the mix until they shot 73 on Sunday to finish tied for 23rd. I gave you Wyndham Clark and Beau Hossler, who were in the last group yesterday, finished 3 shots out, finished solo third. I gave you Tom Kim and Siwoo Kim. They finished in 7th. And I gave you Denny McCarthy and Joel Damon, who finished in 11th place. So none of them hit. If you put $100 on that like I told you to, you're out $100. And that's my bad. But I thought they were some good picks. Those guys were around the lead. Just couldn't get it done. It was an incredible performance by Nick Hardy and Davis Riley to shoot 65 on Sunday to win it in the alternate shot. I was out there on Saturday. Maybe the biggest takeaway that I had was that I need to put sunscreen on my head. I have one visor. I got it at Cherry Hills in Denver. I like it. My wife thinks it's the ugliest thing she's ever seen, so I don't wear it very often. but I did wear it to the Zurich on Sunday. And I didn't put any sunscreen on anywhere. If I took this jacket off, you'd see I'm just roasted. I sent a tweet out on Saturday night. Just no sunscreen. My face, my ears, my arms, my calves are sunburned. Then I got in the shower, and the water hit my head, and it burned. My head, the top of my head, is sunburned from being out at the golf tournament. That is pathetic. But I got to remember that next time I wear the visor. I got to go with like a spray sunscreen situation. But it was a blast out there on Saturday to walk around. Again, I think I talked about this a lot last week. But it's such a great spectator experience. If it's a nice day like it was on Saturday, like even if you don't care about golf at all, I was with a buddy and his wife. She didn't care about golf. It was just nice to be out there. You can get right up next to the tee boxes and watch the guys play. And there's really no like jockeying for position. It's not like the Masters where you got to like stake out a spot and it's 8 deep all over the place. It's not like that at all. You just walk right up to the ropes and you can check it out. Had a blast walking around. We got into the walk-ons tent on 17, which was really cool. And then 2 noteworthy things that happened when I was out there on Saturday. 1, Sam Burns chipped in on number 16. And when he made the chip, everybody started chanting LSU, 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 which I do not see happen very often at Pebble Beach or Augusta. Like, we just revert to football no matter what in this culture. Like, it reminds me of when I was in 2007, I was in college, and we went up to Keeneland to do the horse races on Friday before LSU played Kentucky in that triple overtime game that LSU lost. And so we're out there Friday afternoon at Keeneland at the races, and these horses are coming down the backstretch, and all the people that are from Kentucky are in suits, and they got their hats on, and they're like prim and proper, and they're on their best behavior, and all the LSU fans are there in T-shirts, crushing draft beer, and chanting LSU, LSU as the horses come down the backstretch. Like horse racing, we can turn that into football. Golf, we can turn it into football. It doesn't happen anywhere else, but it does down here, which was funny. The other thing is, if you watch a lot of golf, or even if you don't watch a lot of golf, you see a lot of unbelievable shots, which I did see a lot of really good golf shots on Saturday, but they also hit some terrible shots. Keith Mitchell, they were 1 shot out of the lead. He was playing with Sung J M, who was out of his mind. He made 6 birdies in the front 9. I watched Sung J M play 4 holes on Saturday and made birdie on all 4 holes. They hit plenty of great shots. But Keith Mitchell had 100 yards out in the middle of the fairway on number 13. And I was standing right next to him. And he had 100 yards out. He hit the ball 60 yards. Absolutely laid the sod over it and fatted it 60 yards. It was such a bad shot that my buddy's wife, who's standing there, looked at me and goes, "That was really bad." I was like, yeah. She didn't know anything about golf. She could tell that was terrible. You don't see that a lot on TV because they're usually showing the leaders, and the leaders are usually playing really well, and you just see great golf shots. But they hit plenty of really bad ones. Makes you, as a weekend golfer, feel a little bit better about yourself. I'm plenty capable of taking out a 60-degree, laying the sod over it, and missing the green by a mile. That's what Keith Mitchell did. Fortunately for him, his partner, Sung J M, hit it to 6 feet and made birdie. So his ball didn't count on that hole. But it makes you feel better as, whatever type of golf you play. Maybe you're a 1 handicap. Maybe you're a 20 handicap. The pros hit really bad shots too. You just don't see them all that often because you're not out there. But that was a very, very encouraging thing to me. So if you get the chance next time around to get out to the Zurich, I would highly, highly recommend it. But put sunscreen on the top of your head, which I did not do, and it still hurts. I can feel it currently that it's burned. It's a bad deal. All right, loaded second hour here. We're going to talk a ton of football. Billy Embody is going to join us coming up after Sports Center. LSU did pick up a commitment over the weekend. There's another announcement set for this week. We had a decommitment of a big-time in-state player that was committed to Colorado. I want to get his thoughts on Juwan Johnson. So Billy Embody from the Bengal Tiger over at On 3 is going to hop aboard at the top of hour number 2 to talk some of the things that we saw in the spring game, but a lot on recruiting as well. So excited to chat with Billy. I've still got my takes on the spring game. It was not, the most interesting thing anyone's ever seen, but I did think that you could draw just a little bit for radio fodder, as it were. So I'll give you my thoughts on the spring game at 2:15. The SEC was absolutely out of control in baseball this weekend. Just wild results everywhere. Plus, it's coming up at 2:30. And I'll tease this again before 2:30. I think something happened in the SEC this weekend in baseball that has never happened in another baseball game in the history of the sport. I think that happened over the weekend. I will tell you about that coming up at 2:30. If you missed any of the first hour, you can always catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. All the shows on the station are right there, and all our sound is archived right there each and every day. You're also a Spotify listener, Google Podcast listener, maybe you're an Apple Podcast listener. We're all right there. Just search The Hunt Palmer Show. We appreciate if you like, subscribe, rate, review. All that's very, very good. Trying to get our content in front of as many people as we can. In the first hour, I opened talking baseball, talking LSU and Ole Miss, big picture, little picture, the drama that was, and kind of what this team is made of, which is pretty impressive when you consider what Jay was preaching in January and what we've seen from this team on the field and then in press conferences. I kind of led with that, and then we talked about Dylan Cruz and just how ridiculous he is. Leah Van jumped on at 1:30, updated us on all the injuries. She just met with Jay Johnson within the last 2 hours and kind of updated on everything. So if you missed that, go catch all that on demand. I'll wrap things up with my thoughts on the Zurich Classic, which wrapped up yesterday. So, SportsCenter's coming up. We got a loaded second hour coming at you. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Capital City's leader in sports talk. It's 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Bucks hoping perhaps tonight will mark the return of Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's listed as questionable for Game 4 of the first-round NBA playoff series against the Heat with a lower back contusion. Milwaukee is down 2-1. Miami's Jimmy Butler with a bruised glute is listed as questionable tonight. Lakers with a chance to put the Grizzlies on the brink of elimination. LA up 2-1, hosting Memphis in Game 4 tonight. And the key to a Lakers win, their star big man, believes First Take host Stephen A. Smith.
When Anthony Davis is doing his things, as he did in games 1 and 3, the Lakers are winning. Steven Adams is out. Brandon Clark is out. They have nobody big to contend with Anthony Davis outside of Jaren Jackson, and you got to protect Jaren Jackson because he's prone to foul trouble. You give the ball to Anthony Davis. You make sure the offense goes through him. You find a way for LeBron and everybody else to fit in, and nobody does that better than LeBron.
Stephen A. Smith. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts, fresh off signing a 5-year, $255 million deal, $179 million guaranteed. That's why he didn't push for a fully guaranteed contract, said, money is nice, championships are better.
Coming up Tuesday, the 76ers swept my Nets. But just how concerned should their fans be when it comes to Joel Embiid and his knee? Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2 on this Monday. Hope your work week is off to a great start. Hour 2 is off to a great start because Billy Embody's joining us, our friend from over on the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 Networks on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Billy, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing quite well. I think it was a good weekend for the Fighting Tiger football program, successful spring game, and obviously it was a huge recruiting push for Brian Kelly and his staff. They repainted the field, had a big old crawfish bowl. Joe Burrow was in town. So what was the scale of this weekend in terms of visitors for LSU?
Yeah, this was a big one, and it always seems to be. I mean, between hosting, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and making sure they're all taken care of, you've got to take care of the future of LSU as well, which is, these recruiting weekends. And with the spring game, there's a lot of moving parts with the team moving around. It's not like, they're in football ops and then just getting out on the practice field and recruits are kind of hanging around casually. They've got to be, in the sidelines, on the stands and just do all of those moving pieces. But for LSU, they really knocked it out of the park. I felt like, you had Deshaun McBride, the 4-star safety from Denham Springs, commit afterwards, going public with his commitment. And then you had, a 5-star in Colin Simmons, the number 1 edge rusher in the country, back in Baton Rouge for another visit this weekend. And he brought his mom. I thought that was critical. He got, the red carpet treatment with Burrow and Chase, and Angel Reese was helping out recruiting as well. And then they also hosted quite a few high-end prospects like 4-star tight end Caleb Odom, who came in from Georgia with his quarterback teammate Juju Lewis, who's probably, if they were doing rankings right now, he'd probably be the number 1 quarterback in 2026. They had a lot of Louisiana prospects like Wardell Mack on campus. They really have just, buckled in and had a lot of their top targets throughout spring on campus. And this was just the latest example of that.
Let's talk about Colin Simmons from Duncanville, Texas, 6'3", 225 pounds, a top 5 player in the country based on On3's rankings. Do you think LSU is in a strong position there, and what might the timeline look like with Colin Simmons?
Yeah, Colin Simmons is a player that LSU has prioritized for well over a year now, and Jamar Cain kind of helped lay the groundwork with guys like Sherman Wilson and others on staff there, Kerry Cooks, Matt House, and now John Jancic kind of taking over that recruitment, as the position coach for, Colin Simmons if he does end up at LSU. And I think LSU sits right near the top of that recruitment. I do think there's a long way to go there. I don't necessarily think he's going to make an early decision. And quite honestly, that's probably what you want if you're LSU, because they are one of, if not the top teams in his recruitment right now. And if they were to pop him early and get him on board as a commitment, you don't always want to do that and have such a big lead that you have a commitment. Other teams are chasing. They know that they have time to kind of overcome that big of a lead that you had. And so it sounds like going to take it to signing day. And a lot of these Duncanville prospects, it's a powerhouse in Texas. They just won a state championship. I think they had gone to the state championship or state semis 4 straight years. They're either going to make a decision before their senior seasons, or they're going to take a couple visits and then focus in on their senior seasons, and then go from there down the stretch with official visits before, signing early. And who knows, he could be somebody that even takes it to February. I mean, he is that highly touted. He is that highly recruited. He's going to take a bunch of visits between now and when he makes a decision. But LSU has been one of the top teams, and I think they did a great job this weekend cementing that they'll get an official visit and be right there till the end for him.
We had Shea on last week, and he said, yeah, Deshaun McBride from Denham is going to make his commitment over the weekend, and he'll be at LSU spring game. So it'd be quite a move for him to commit somewhere else while he was on campus at LSU. Felt pretty good about that one. He did, in fact, commit to LSU over the weekend. What kind of player is LSU getting in Deshaun McBride?
I love Deshaun McBride. I think his production as a junior is really, really notable. Set his school record for single-season interceptions, and then he went out and ran an encouraging time on track in the 100-meter. I think he's just outside that sub-11 time that you want. But he's also 6'3", 200, and he's playing 7-on-7 every weekend. And I saw him in that setting as well, and he did really well. So I think he's somebody that if he gave track, more time, would probably be able to break that sub-11 time that everybody really covets when it comes to defensive backs. And he's huge, 6'3", 200. I think he could play like an in-the-box safety type role. He's probably, I think, the closest thing that LSU will have to a Grant Delpit as far as style since Delpit left. Just somebody that can move down, come off the edge, play in coverage. He can do a bunch of different things, and I just think they got a terrific prospect, and they played it right. I think he was somebody that wanted an LSU offer. He was blowing up. He's a 300 prospect for us, and they went ahead and offered. They didn't wait till camp like they did last year with Jordan Matthews, or every year it just seems like a guy that kind of slips through the cracks here or there, no matter who the coach is. But they moved on to Deshaun McBride and got him on board, and I think it was a great move for him.
Got another announcement coming up later this week with Trades Green, one of the top players in the state. In fact, ranked second in the state by On3, the tight end out of Jackson, Louisiana. Your thoughts on Trades Green?
Yeah, a guy that oozes potential, and he really had a nice junior season. When you look at it overall, I think he had close to 1,000 yards receiving. Is a big guy out there at 6'6", 225 or so. He's also LSU offer in both sports. Granted, if he comes to LSU, he'll be a football player first and foremost, but quite a few schools have really recruited him for both sports. He's got finalists: Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Miami. But it looks like LSU is going to win out here. He is a guy that, if it all comes together, really could be a day 1, day 2 type draft pick. I mean, just his tools that he has, and if he really figures out how good he can be on the football field, LSU will be set for tight end for many, many years now, with Mason Taylor and this class they signed last year, and the tight ends that they will have on board with Trades Green and Tavion Galloway. So a really talented prospect that you want to land. He's a top 10 prospect in Louisiana. He's unanimously a top 3 prospect, and LSU is starting to kind of check one by one these top 10 prospects in Louisiana off, it seems like, and they have a real chance to, sweep the top 10 in the state for On3.
If they do that, they'd have to get Juwan Johnson, who had been committed to Colorado and has decommitted over the last 24 hours. Is that a good sign for the home team?
Excellent sign for LSU's chances, I would say. And look, Colorado, I don't know what went on in that spring game outside of a bunch of people going, but it hasn't been a great 48 hours for Deion Sanders. And, Juwan Johnson was somebody that when he committed to Colorado, a lot of us in the industry kind of said, do we really move our picks to the Buffaloes? Do we really think he's going to go all the way out there? Because they had been on LSU, and we did it anyway because you never know in recruiting. Maybe somebody takes a spot, but LSU never let up. They hosted him last week for a visit with his folks coming over from Lafayette, and he's a really, really talented quarterback, but he'd be a nickel for LSU, and I think they sit in a good spot to get his commitment this time around. And like you said, get another top 10 prospect in Louisiana on board. I think he's quick, he's agile, and once he figures out how to play in coverage, he plays it a little bit 7-on-7 here and there, but just being quarterback for LCA, he doesn't give it too much time right now, but he's got a lot of upside to be the long-term answer at nickel for LSU if he commits there.
Forgive me for not being up to speed on Colorado recruiting unless they live in Lafayette, Louisiana. They've lost a couple of commits since the spring game. Was there some kind of issue?
So they've seen, I think, like 3 or 4 of their top players from last year's team enter the portal.
Okay.
I've kind of heard some things on recruiting that, it wasn't as great of a weekend as, you might have thought with Deion, just kind of his pedigree recruiting nationally. So, and Juwan Johnson was there, and he turns around and decommits immediately. So, usually you love getting your commits on campus, but Colorado just kind of had a rough go these last 48 hours.
It's going to be interesting. That I can promise you. The Deion era in Boulder is going to be interesting. Anything you saw from LSU on the field in the spring game that piqued your interest?
I think the secondary is still coming together. I think that's the big thing for me, and I think they're going to still experiment with maybe, continuing to move guys around. I mean, they've played JV and Toviano multiple spots. We're still seeing Denver Harris continue to develop and get back to the type of player he was when he came out as a 5-star. So I think the secondary is probably the most intriguing because you also had guys out for the spring and some guys, that like a Major Burns that got nicked up and was out for the spring. And I think that position group is going to probably make or break whether LSU has like a top 20 type of defense under Matt House this year. And if they do figure it out, it'll be a pretty salty group. But that was the one group I was most interested in seeing and still have some questions as far as just how it all looks when it comes to next season.
A lot of new faces in the secondary for this Tiger club. Thanks for your time, Billy. We appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks for having me, Hunt.
Is Billy Embody, part of the On3 network over there at the Bengal Tiger. I got a baseball column up over at the Bengal Tiger that posts every single Monday called Around the Horn. A lot of the same points that you hear on this show, obviously, but always enjoy the work that those guys do. They have cranked out a ton of content over the weekend as far as spring game coverage, recruiting coverage, and a lot's happening right now with LSU football and recruiting, and it sounds like a lot of it is very good. So if you want some coverage on recruiting, On3 is the spot for you over at the Bengal Tiger. We'll take a time out. I'll give you my thoughts on the spring game. That's next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The NBA playoffs are here, and you can turn crossovers into cash with FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN right now and place a $5 bet. You'll get an instant $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. There are great promotions like this every day over at FanDuel. It is safe, it is secure, and the best part, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Go to FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet your first $5. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Bonus issues and knowledgeable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you're somebody knows giving problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back.
Jimmy Ott and Charles Hanniger for the Monday edition of Game Time. We're live at Finbom on Burbank and Lee, right next to Rouse's. Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday from Finbom on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, spring football wrapped up with the National L Club spring football game on Saturday. Look, as we talked about last week, the biggest deal on the spring game is, one, you don't want to get anybody hurt, and two, it's recruiting weekend. You got Burrow and Chase in town. You got the Crawfish Bowl. You got all these recruits in town. You just want to kind of showcase what this football program is about. As far as taking stuff that you see in the spring game and trying to apply it to September, it's a controlled practice. I think everyone is aware of that. But some guys flashed. I mean, the play that Kyron Lacey makes where he jumps up and makes a one-handed catch, and then LSU can't tackle, defense can't tackle him while he's running down the field and he gets into the end zone, showed the athleticism. I mean, Kyron Lacey is at best your number 3 receiver and may not even be that. But he's certainly talented, and he showed that on that play. Neighbors and Thomas are 1 and 2. I think that's pretty well set. But Lacey showed he's got some physical gifts. He, no question, does. The quarterbacks are the easiest thing to look at and try to draw your big conclusions. I thought both guys looked good. Nuss took some shots down the field that they didn't quite connect on, but Daniels was 10 of 11 in the game. I thought did a good job of checking the ball down and showed some of his speed when they let him run with the red jersey on. I thought both of those guys looked pretty good. I was disappointed there wasn't a little bit more Chris Hilton. That's a guy that I highlighted on Friday, just kind of saying that's a guy that I'd like to see. He did have one drop down the sideline and just wasn't quite as involved as I thought he might be. On the defensive, well, I guess there's one more. Landon Ibieta made that great play where he showed some real speed out in the open field. I think there was a walk-on involved in there as well, but Ibieta showed some speed on the 70-yard touchdown for sure. On defense, you did see the movement of Harold Perkins. You saw him on the inside. You saw him on the outside as a pass rusher. I thought he showed some great closing speed on a couple of running plays. And that's going to be one of the more fascinating things to watch. I tell you all the time, like, I'm not great at football X's and O's. It's just not – I didn't play at a high enough level. A lot of that stuff is over my head. But, you know, I watch it like most of you do, and that's something I can figure out. What's Ford doing? What are they doing? What are they trying to accomplish with him on this play? Is he the spy? I can notice that. Is he on the edge trying to beat a tackle? I can notice that. Is he playing right in the middle of the field and clogging run holes? Like, I can figure that too. Blitzes, dropping in coverage, where he's lined up, like that kind of stuff I can't handle. I don't know what zone beaters and man beaters are, but I can find four and figure out what they're doing with them. And I thought it was interesting to watch him kind of move on the field on Saturday. I thought he looked good. And I was listening to Charlie on his show earlier today, and he is real comfortable with Perkins just playing on the edge, being an edge defender, rushing the passer, just creating havoc. Doesn't really want him in the middle of the field doing the things that Kevin Minner did. Like, that's not the type of player. And I see that, but I also see value in him in the middle of the field because he can cover a lot of ground. He can get sideline to sideline. He can play east and west, and we can obviously play north and south as well. So I enjoyed watching a little bit of him on defense and kind of what they were doing. He did move around a good bit. The guy on defense that probably flashed the most was LaTerrence Welsh. And that's a guy that LSU brought in high school. Most of the secondary has been patchworked for 2 years with transfer guys. It's been patchworked with Gardner and been patchwork with Jarek Bernard-Converse and trying to go get Deuce Chestnut and bringing in Denver Harris. Like, that you've patched this thing together with transfers. Go get Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché. Very few of LSU's high school guys have panned out in the secondary. And Welch is one of those guys, and he played well on Saturday. He was disruptive, got a couple of hands-on balls, and I thought was very, very good. As Billy mentioned in the last segment, Javian Toviano was moved around. He played a little bit on the slot inside. He played a little bit outside. That's going to be a very versatile piece for LSU, and try to figure out where it all kind of comes together. They have enough talent and enough depth. It's just a matter of who needs to be out there. And you'll get Major Burns back. He's not out there right now, obviously, and that's a nice stabilizing force in the back. And I thought Major Burns had a really nice year last year. But it was interesting to see Javian Toviano move around a little bit. I wish – a couple of things on my wish list. I wish we would have seen a little bit more of Trey Holly. He made a little catch on a swing pass. They had a couple of running plays. To me, it looked like a spring game that was, hey, we want to throw the football a little bit here because we don't really want our linemen bashing heads and run blocking all that much. We don't have a lot of offensive linemen, so we're probably not going to run the ball a ton. We don't have a lot of defensive linemen either, so we might as well let the wide receivers and corners, the places where we have a lot of bodies, we'll let those guys run around and do all the make all the plays, and we'll keep the guys that are hurt kind of in contained quarters at the line of scrimmage. So just not a lot of running the ball. And plus, a lot of what LSU does in running is read option based, and the quarterback's not going to really run because he can't get tackled. So that's part of the deal in the spring game is like, what can they accomplish? There's some things you just can't do. And that's part of it with LSU running the ball. And they just didn't run it a ton. I wanted to see a little bit of Trey Holly out in space. Of course, Holly was the Louisiana all-time career record holder in terms of rushing yards in high school. And he had a little bit of burst, but you saw it more on a catch he made than in running. His long of the day was 7 yards. So it's not like you got to see him. And I'm just curious how big a role these freshmen are going to have in the backfield this year. What is Trey Holly going to be able to give you? What is Caleb Jackson going to be able to give you? Because I'm waiting for the next guy. I'm waiting for the next dude at LSU at running back. And I feel like we've gone a couple of years without it. And I don't know if either one of those guys is it. Maybe Armani Goodwin comes back healthy and is that guy. I don't know. But I'm waiting on the guy to come in the backfield, and I just didn't get to see enough of Trey Holly. And then a couple missed kicks, which was disappointing. Ramos missed one from range. Dybert missed one as well. It's just something that we never talk about when we talk about football. We're always looking at the line of scrimmage, and we're looking at the quarterback play, and what do they got out, what kind of weapons do they have, and who's rushing the passer. You just kind of dismiss special teams, and I thought Ramos had a nice freshman year, nice first year kicking, and hopefully he can be really, really consistent. Had a miss from range in the spring game on Saturday. So look, spring football in the books. LSU did get through it fairly healthy. They had a lot of guys that were on the back end of injuries that probably could have gone out there. Talking about Deshaun Womack, talking about Mason Smith. Some of those guys are pretty healthy, but no reason to push the issue here in April. So now it's time to get into some off-season conditioning and be ready to roll when the time to report to fall camp comes in August. But football in the back burner, and quite frankly, not going to be front of mind, I guess, until media days. Is that kind of when you lock back in? I know that y'all lock in right when the last out's recorded in baseball. Some of you, I got football, let's go. I need a couple of weeks. I need to get my magazines in middle of July and kind of pick through that. And then, we'll get into it in August. But spring football in the rearview mirror. It's really baseball full speed ahead for the foreseeable future. All right, when we come back, I teased this in the first hour. I'll tease it once again. Something happened in SEC baseball over the weekend that I contend has never happened in the history of baseball. I have no way to look it up, but I'm just going to go with that contention. I'll tell you what that is coming up next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. How much different would your living situation be if you had the bathroom of your dreams? If you need a full-scale renovation of your bathroom, David Duvall and his team are here to help you. If you just want to do a tub-to-shower conversion because you don't use that bathtub and you'd like to have a gorgeous walk-in glass shower, they can do that too. OneBathAndCloset.com. You can check out the testimonials there. You can apply for a free consultation. It doesn't cost you anything for David Duvall and his crew to come in there and say what they can do for you. They also help you out with your closets. We all don't have customized closets. They can do it for you. They can put your racks in. They can put your shelves, your mirrors, your cubbies, your doors. All that can be customized to your wardrobe. And I'll tell you this. If you tell him you're a Hunt Palmer Show listener, he's not going to charge you to rip out the current closet, not going to charge you for the labor to install a new one. Just going to charge you for the cost of that unit. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. It's where they're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. One Bath and Closets at OneBathAndClosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, That's there for you at Front to Back Boat Service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front to Back Boat Service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's
on Tuesdays, OTB. It's time for the NFL Draft, and we'll bring you the latest. Our guy Nick Underhill stops by to talk New Orleans Saints. Latest from the NBA playoffs, and a brand new OTB mailbag. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The crazy weekend in SEC baseball over the weekend. Just some shocking results. I don't think any more shocking to me than Georgia sweeping Arkansas over in Athens. First sweep of a top 5 team by Georgia since 1993. I was 5. It's been a minute since Georgia swept a top 5 team. Now, Arkansas, we've been talking about Arkansas for the last couple of weeks, going, well, they're not great on the mound. Well, their offense hasn't been awesome. They just keep winning weekends, keep winning. And we kind of say, it's part of the program. They just have a great program. The next guy up, and they continue to just get it done one way or another. And that all kind of fell apart on them against Georgia this weekend. On Saturday in Game 3, Arkansas had an 8-4 lead in the 9th inning. They gave up a grand slam to tie it, and then the next pitch got hit out for a walk-off homer. Grand slam walk-off, went from a 4-run lead to a loss in 2 pitches. Big win for Georgia. LSU's headed to Athens in the season closing weekend. Arkansas falls back behind LSU in the SEC West. Another sweep, this one in Knoxville. Tennessee swept Vanderbilt, and a couple of things stood out to me in this one. One, Chase Burns, who had been their number 2 starter and was their number 2 starter when they came here to Baton Rouge, has been converted to a bullpen guy. And now they're using him in multiple games. He pitched the 10th, 11th, and 12th innings on Friday and was perfect. And then pitched on Sunday in a 1-2-3 9th inning. Burns kind of profiles as a reliever. I mean, he is a good starter, and he'll be a starter for him again next year, I'm sure. But right now, you got a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and one of the best sliders in the league. That profile is pretty good in the back end of the bullpen. So while the rotation seemed to be set in stone, they had 3 guys that were great for them last year. They all came back, and you figure that's our weekend rotation. That didn't work out because Burns was just getting knocked all over the yard. Well, now it may have found a silver lining here that they've got a big-time back into the bullpen piece. And Burns was really emotional in the game on Friday, like fist pumping, screaming, yelling. I mean, Tennessee and Vanderbilt hate each other. But that may be a little bit of a find there for the Vols, and maybe they may have found something with the sweep over Vanderbilt. That's a big one there. Game 2 in that series, 17-1, crazy. Another sweep that was a little bit shocking to me was South Carolina sweeping Florida. South Carolina, over the course of the weekend, never trailed once. Ethan Petrie in SEC games this year, pretty good. 446 with 13 homers just in league play. He's driven in 39 runs in 18 games in SEC play. He is way good. And South Carolina is way good. I totally underestimated them after getting off to a good start against bad teams. But when I watched them play LSU for 2 days, and you watch what they did to Florida, now Vanderbilt beat them 2 out of 3, but this team is legit. This team is legit top 8 threat. They're a legit national championship contender. If they can get Will Sanders throwing strikes, the other 2 in that rotation have been really good, and they got bats big time. That South Carolina is legit. I have no questions about South Carolina to this point. They are every bit a top 5 team. I mentioned twice now that something happened over the weekend in SEC baseball that I don't think has ever happened in the history of baseball. And I stand by that. It was in the Mississippi State-Auburn series. On Sunday, Cooper McMurray from Auburn hit a home run off of both foul poles. He hit one that hit the left field foul pole. He hit one that hit the right field foul pole. There's no way that's ever happened in baseball history. One guy hit both foul poles in a single game. No way that's ever happened before. Cooper McMurray did it for Auburn over the weekend. Auburn beats Mississippi State 2 out of 3. Mississippi State, you want to talk about a team that does not have a very good bullpen? They were up 11-3 on Saturday and barely won. They won by 1. In a game they led by 8 runs. And then they turned around the next day and they were up 7-0 and lost. Mississippi State's bullpen is awful. And these are some of the stats LSU's going to see here in the next couple of weeks. You cannot nearly blow an 11-3 lead and then come back the next day and actually blow a 7-0 lead. Offense is giving you everything they can. They're trying. But you can't pitch. Can't play defense. This has been the story with Mississippi State since weekend number 1. And I just don't know when it gets better for this team. Win a national championship and just falling off a cliff. Bama went to Missouri and got a huge sweep for them. If you were listening, we had Joe Healy on last week on our normal Thursday segment. He's like, look, Bama is legitimate. They're a good team. They're certainly a regional team, and they can get in the mix here to potentially be a host site if they take care of business against some of these lesser teams like Missouri. And they went up to Columbia and got a sweep. Remember in the opening weekend, I'm sure you do, Missouri swept Tennessee. And we're all like, whoa, what was that? Is Missouri good? Well, the answer to that is no. Since they swept Tennessee in the SEC opening weekend, they are 2-13. 2-13 after a sweep of Tennessee. You think the Vols would like that one back? I think they might like that one back. Just brutal to go up to Missouri and get swept by a team that's really not good at all. So as we look at the standings in the Southeastern Conference, big shakeup because of all the sweeps of the high-end teams. Vanderbilt and Arkansas and Florida getting swept shakes things up big time. So leading the conference is South Carolina at 13-4. Vanderbilt would be second at 13-5. LSU would now be third at 12-5. But LSU has a considerably lesser schedule than what Vanderbilt has down the stretch. If you look at Vanderbilt's schedule, they've got Kentucky coming up this weekend. It's a top 15 team. And they still have to go to Florida, and they still play Arkansas to close. So they've got a really difficult schedule. LSU's in a great spot. I talked about this in the second segment that I did today, just about the position that LSU has put themselves in. And when you look at the wins that LSU has, what their conference record says, and what's to come, LSU's in a very, very advantageous spot. I would say, as I said in the first hour, that if LSU can find a way to go 7-5 down the stretch, that would be enough to get you a top 8. You'd get a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament, skip a day, all that good stuff. So when you look at potential host sites and what the SEC can get, that picture looks a little bit different now as well. But you're looking at a lot of teams that could host out of the SEC. South Carolina and LSU are strong likelihoods at this point. So is Vanderbilt. I think Florida is a likelihood. Kentucky's a possibility. Arkansas is a likelihood. There's a lot of teams that can host. And oh, by the way, Texas A&M has taken care of business now 4 weeks in a row. They took 2 out of 3 from Kentucky. I claimed entering this weekend that Kentucky would lose the rest of their weekends. That's probably a little ambitious, but this might have been the one that I was the most nervous about them getting. And they didn't get it. A&M went to Lexington and beat them 2 out of 3. So Kentucky's remaining schedule, which I said they would not win a weekend, is Vanderbilt on the road, home against South Carolina. I don't think they're winning either one of those series. Then they're at Tennessee. Vols may have just found it. I don't love them there. And then they finish with Florida. The A&M one at home was the one I thought they would get, and they didn't. I think they might lose their last 4. And quite frankly, I'm pulling for that because I don't like their coach. But we did that whole diatribe back last week when LSU was playing against Kentucky. So as the week progresses, we'll chat with Joe Healy. We'll look at some projections. We'll start to look at RPIs and stuff, and that's LSU is in a really good spot with their entire resume. I mean, the RPI, if you go, LSU goes on the road, beats Ole Miss, who was 50 when LSU got there, but LSU knocked them back about 10 spots. LSU's RPI is now 3, and the schools above them, South Carolina and Kentucky, LSU is 3-2 against. So that's really good. Arkansas is a 5 RPI, and LSU took a series from them, which is also very good. And then you got upcoming Georgia on the schedule is an 18 RPI. Alabama is a 20 RPI. They're coming up on the schedule as well. So Mississippi State, who's terrible, is 37, and Auburn's 38. So you got a lot of high RPI teams you're going to play that aren't very good. Like that's the best situation you can possibly be in if you're LSU. So I think as far as LSU's postseason bidding and the content side of it for us, for talk radio or for newspaper fodder or whatever, is not going to be all that interesting because I think LSU is just going to take it out of the committee's hands and take control. That's a much better situation to be in than last year where you're right on the bubble of hosting. And a lot of people thought that LSU would host, and I was looking at the metrics going, I don't know about that. Of course, they did not get a host last year, had to travel to Hattiesburg. This year, I think with like 2 weeks left in the season, the hay is going to be in the barn for LSU. It just feels that way. If you can win the next 2 weekends, you're, I think, 1 game away over the last 2 weeks from locking up a top 8. So it's a good spot for LSU to be in for sure. A lot of the other teams are going to be sweating it, and I think LSU, what they did over the weekend, just turned out the lights on Ole Miss this year. I mean, you could find a way before Ole Miss got swept this weekend to get Ole Miss back into the picture because they have a really light schedule coming up. Their schedule was really front-loaded, but not winning a game over the weekend on your home field, I think that turns the lights out on the Rebs, who are, 3-15 now in league play. That just, you can't get to 13. You have to go, 10-2 the rest of the way. That ain't happening for Ole Miss. So that Hayden Travinsky home run was the lights turning out on the defending national champions getting into the NCAA tournament. Just crazy to me that back-to-back years, Ole Miss and Mississippi State win the College World Series and then turn around and can't get anything done. And Neil McCready, who I was listening to earlier today, who covers Ole Miss, was like, do you have to kind of sit back and look at Ole Miss and go, yeah, they got hot for 3 weeks, and other than that, the last 2 years they've been terrible. I mean, this is a team that was 14-16 in SEC play last year, Ole Miss. Yeah, they won the national title. They were under 500 in league play. And now they turn around and lay an egg like this for the entire season. Just, that's the way the sport is. You can get hot for a couple weeks, and that's awesome. The same thing happened for Mississippi State, but they have not sustained it whatsoever. And I think LSU dealt a knockout blow to the Rebels over the weekend. All right, let's take a timeout. Come back. We'll play some Take It or Leave It and get on down the road on this Monday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Rally Cap, handmade for the home team, born right here in Baton Rouge. Their tap room is really a lot of fun. It's a great place to catch a game. You can bring your family, you can bring the pets, 14 beers on tap. They got other canned options. I'm a light beer drinker. Y'all know that about me. I like crisp and light beers. That's why the First Pitch and their In a Pickle are right up my alley. If you like the full gamut of beers, from the sours to the stouts, they got you covered over there at Rally Cap. And all their beers are really cool names. Have baseball. Ballpark Breakfast is another one. It's an imperial pastry stout brewed with maple syrup, cinnamon, and vanilla. Get on by and watch a baseball game. And I want you to check out the tours. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they have got tours. On Wednesday through Friday at 5 o'clock. Saturdays are at 1. Check out how beer is made right here in Baton Rouge over at Rally Cap. You do have to buy your tickets in advance. Go to rallycapbrewing.com to purchase those tickets. Rally Cap, it's handmade for the home team.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got
Jimmy Ott and Charles Hanniger for the Monday edition of Game Time. We're live at Finbom on Burbank and Lee, right next to Rouse's. Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday from Finbom on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I'm looking up at my screen, and there's XFL highlights going on ESPN right now, and they showed Wade Phillips coaching just got trucked by a player coming out of bounds. Wade's 75. Like, can't be getting decked by football players at 75 years old, but he popped right up, threw both hands in the air. Still young at heart, I guess. He has a great Twitter handle, too, @sonofbum, which I think is funny. But Wade Phillips, coaching in the XFL. I had no idea. I don't really keep up much with the XFL, but Wade is the coach of the Houston Roughnecks. I didn't even know the XFL was playing right now. Honestly, that's a little out of my my sports view. All right, Jacob, back. Let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All right. Morgan Wallen canceled his show in Oxford last night, claiming he lost his voice. Wallen may not be telling the whole story. Take it or leave it.
I'll take that.
I
don't know, but you just kind of feel like he may have gone out a little hard on Saturday and may have lost the old voice doing that. There was a rumor that he was supposed to leave the show. He was doing a show Saturday and Sunday. He was supposed to leave his show Saturday and then go to the library and play a set there at the biggest bar that Oxford has. But I don't know if that happened, and that's just a huge bummer. We talked about it with Leah in hour number 1, but I mean, that was a big deal in Oxford to have him there. They were packing the place 2 days in a row. It was a smaller scale of what LSU had with Garth Brooks coming to Tiger Stadium, and for him to not be able to play the second night is just a huge bummer to a lot of folks that were there, and that's just that's no fun. But I don't know. It feels like we're never going to know the whole story. There's a public relations statement that was put out. May have been bit by the old library flu there in Oxford.
4 Colorado Buffaloes enter the transfer portal after the team's spring game, and 14 in total right now in the transfer portal. Dion is building a winner. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I think it's going to be really hard to win at Colorado. I'll tell you this. It's going to be interesting. I mean, you saw the crowd at their spring game. It was packed, 47,000 people there. ESPN televised their spring game. It's the only one they televised. Chris Fowler, who's obviously an alum there, was doing the I mean, no one cared about Colorado 10 months ago, and now people do. It's interesting, but I just don't know if that's going to work. I don't think it's a bad risk to take if you're Colorado, because what's the alternative? Just being bad again, like you've been for decades.
Yeah.
Like since the early '90s, you've just been bad. So it's worth trying to think outside the box, and maybe it'll work. I don't know. He was able to get significantly better players at Jackson State than everybody else he was playing with. I don't know if that's going to be the case, when you start talking about some of the teams. But, USC is leaving, so maybe it's an even playing field with the teams that are left in the Pac-12. But I'll need to see it.
Yeah, I agree. The Pirates are off to a 16-7 start in the NL Central. They're a legitimate postseason threat. Take it or leave it.
I will leave that with ease. There's no chance they're a legitimate postseason threat. This team's going to fall apart. They always do. And they're just not nearly talented enough. That organization is run so poorly. They just raise up their young talent and then trade it off because they don't want to sign anybody to an extended deal. So that's what bums me out a little bit about the strong possibility that Dylan Cruz is the first pick to Pittsburgh. Like, it's just not where you want to go. It's a great stadium and a great city. Which, by the way, that's sneaky. I would have thought Pittsburgh was like an old dusty, like Rust Belt type deal. We went up there in 2011 for the West Virginia game. You fly into Pittsburgh, stay there, and you just drive down to Morgantown and back. But downtown was gorgeous. It was really nice. The Allegheny runs right through there. The ballpark was fantastic. It was really nice. I was expecting it to be a dump, and it was anything but. So it'd be a nice place to live, and the ballpark's gorgeous, but you're not going to win anything there, so that's a bummer if Cruz does, in fact, head to Pittsburgh. I'm not buying them for a second. I'm glad the Cardinals are getting off to a terrible start. They're supposed to be the class of the division, but the Brewers are off to an even better start than the Pirates, and their pitching staff's really, really good. So I think the Brewers are the team to beat in the Central.
The Alabama spring game was this weekend, and both of the quarterbacks that were competing are thought to be competing for the starting job. Didn't look great, combined for 3 interceptions. Nick Saban didn't sound too pleased with him.
I heard
Possibly going to be looking in the transfer portal for a quarterback. Alabama doesn't have a quarterback. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I'll take it. It's got to be Ty Simpson of the. They cannot put Jalen Milroe back there to play quarterback. There's just no way. He's super fast, but that's not the answer. I cannot believe that would be the best option for Alabama. Now, the question is, does Saban get in the portal, and is there a quarterback on LSU's roster whose dad once worked in Tuscaloosa? That would be the issue. I do not want Garrett Nussmeier going to Tuscaloosa. I have no reason to believe that's going to happen. That is based on no information, no sources, no nothing. I just know that Saban knows Doug Nussmeier, and I don't think that Garrett Nussmeier is a starting quarterback at LSU right this second, and there may be an availability at Alabama. So, again, I'm not trying to get anybody panicked. I'm not trying to get everybody worked up. That's not the point. It's talk radio, and I'm just throwing that out into the breeze that I don't want that to happen. So, if I can speak it out of existence, that's what I would like to be doing at the moment. So, that's it for take it or leave it. I think LSU is going to get some votes when they do media days here in a couple of months, because Bama just feels like it's a little bit rocky at quarterback, and that just hasn't been the case for 6 years. You had the Tua year. Well, Hurts was pretty good too. You had Hurts, and then Tua, and then you had Bryce Young, and so they've been awesome at quarterback for so long. I just don't feel that confident in Alabama, and I always want to give them the benefit of the doubt because they always have a great team, but I think when you look at what LSU has back, you look at the quarterback spot, and then you put the vote to it, I think a lot of people are going to consider LSU the favorites in the SEC West because of that. We'll see if they can go out there and live up to that. It's just kind of the way that it feels right now. Fired up for tomorrow's show. We are going to have Glenn West talking LSU baseball as well as the spring game. Then we'll have Sharif on in hour number 2 talking about the Saints draft. Incidentally, our draft watch party presented by Rouse's. It's going to be over at Don Juan Cigar Bar, 7 o'clock on Thursday. Come on out and hang with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. The whole station is going to be there. We're going to be doing a live stream on our YouTube channel, which you can, of course, check out on YouTube. But we want you to come and hang out. It's always an enjoyable time. Watch the draft, see the trades. What Jimmy's going to have bets on who gets picked where and how many quarterbacks go in round 1 and all that kind of stuff. And that's always wild to watch. He had some bet on like cornerbacks last year and had one go like the 31st pick, and Jimmy went nuts at Don Juan. So if you don't have anything going on Thursday night, Don Juan Cigar Bar for the Rouse's draft party, 7 o'clock over there for the NFL draft. Very much looking forward to that coming up later this week. If you missed any of our show today, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, anywhere you get your sound, you can find our stuff, and you can find it on YouTube in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat as well. Open the show with 30 minutes of baseball talk, my reaction to LSU going to Oxford and getting the sweep. Leah Van from The Advocate jumped on at 1:30, updated us on all the injuries that have been going on with LSU baseball, so I appreciate her for giving us a little bit of time. I gave my thoughts on the Zurich at 1:45, including I need to put sunscreen on my head because it is burned. Tough scene. A lot of football in hour number 2. Billy Embody talking recruiting, my thoughts on the spring game, and then we got a recap of the SEC weekend that was in baseball, so check all that out on demand. Jimmy Ott's Game Time coming to you tonight from 6 to 8 p.m. Matt Moscona is about to drive you home on After Further Review. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. It's Hunt Palmer Show.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail